This is Amy Sermon with Max Knowledge, and today I'm speaking with Dr. Michele Ernst, Chief Academic Officer of Globe University. Michele, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to be here.
Great. Well, we're going to be talking today about accreditation and specifically national versus regional accreditation. Michele, can you give us a little bit of your background and interest in this particular topic?
You bet. Well, about 6 years ago, I started considering topics for my dissertation. I was finishing my doctorate in education at Hamline University here in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I had always been intrigued about why schools, nationally accredited career colleges, were considering moving to regional accreditation. It seemed in my 15-year history I had been associated with schools that were considering that change. So I wanted to look at why that was something that career colleges were looking at doing, the implications that might have for our sector as well as for higher education, the differences between national and regional accreditation, that sort of thing.
Wonderful. Well, maybe a good first question would be, can you tell us a little bit about the primary focus, including the differences between these two types of accreditation?
You bet. I think there are several differences. One is the prescribed method that national accreditation agencies typically have in setting their criteria. It's very specific. They don't just tell you to write a mission, they tell you what they want in the mission. They don't just tell you to provide community resources, they tell you how to go about doing that with advisory boards, that kind of thing. So it's very clear. Another example would be faculty credentials. What kind of credentials do my faculty need to have to successfully teach and to be accepted by our accreditation agency, the nationally accredited agency? Regional accreditation, on the other hand, can be very open-ended. It can, for example, it's very difficult in any of the publications, at least for the Higher Learning Commission, which is the one that I'm most familiar with, define the requirements for credentialing. And I've asked the staff folks before, what credentialing would my faculty need to have to be accepted? And basically, it's up to the institution to argue and demonstrate that the credentials that the faculty have are appropriate, or whatever it might be, that the mission that they wrote is appropriate. The proof is in the institution's lap. That's certainly the case with national accreditation too, but in the meantime, national accreditation provides all sorts of guidelines in what they are looking for and what they want to see. So, for example, I just had an accreditation visit that I was part of the evaluation team for ACICS, and we were looking at the institutional effectiveness plan of the institution, and ACICS is very clear on what they expect to be in the institutional effectiveness plan. If there's other things, that's okay, but here are the key elements that have to be in there, that sort of thing.
Oh, interesting.
I also think that one of the differences between national versus regional accreditation is the focus. National accreditation focuses on career colleges, so colleges that have a focus of training their students to go on for a specific career, while regional accreditation it doesn't have that particular focus. So they have schools that do have a career college emphasis. They also have schools that have an emphasis that's much more liberal arts in nature, this is sort of the learning for learning's sake, that kind of thing. So they're much more open-ended in the type of institutions that they will accredit. Majority of their institutions that they do accredit, though, are nonprofits. So they're the public schools or the private nonprofits, which majority of the schools that are accredited by our national accreditation agencies are for-profit institutions. So you're sort of grouped with institutions that have very similar interests when you're nationally accredited and a career college.
Can you talk a little bit more, I guess, about some of the benefits of national and regional?
Well, I think from one of the big benefits is the mission of your college and what your focus is, and certainly career colleges have a natural fit with national accreditors, I think. The organization that I currently belong to certainly has chosen to stay with national accreditation because we feel it best meets the mission of our institution, providing a career education for our students so they can go on to get the career that they have chosen to get. So I think that's certainly beneficial when you're looking at why you stay with national accreditation.
And challenges with either national or regional.
Well, I think both of them have challenges. I think it's challenging for a career college that has been nationally accredited for a long time to move to regional accreditation, but I also think it would be just as challenging for a regionally accredited school to move to national accreditation. It doesn't mean that one is necessarily better than the other. The requirements are simply different. It would be extremely difficult, for example, for the University of Minnesota to move to national accreditation. They just don't have the infrastructure that would support that type of accreditation. So those schools that have decided, those nationally accredited career colleges that have decided to move to regional accreditation, have had to make some changes in their infrastructure and how they do things in order to fit into the regional accreditation model.
Thank you. Well, Michele, thank you for your perspective on national versus regional and sort of the facts there. We'll be doing a part 2 interview with you regarding trends related to accreditation, so be sure to join us for that. And thanks, Michele.
You bet. Thank you.